So I usually do backsplashes like this. Solid colors the whole way through. What I'm going to be doing for this one is a gradient. You see how I have the white here and it's kind of gradiating out? That's because I'm doing it outdoor and I'm trying to talk about the heat and the fact that it's nasty being outside in cosplay during the summer when everybody gets sweaty. The problem is I also need to change. I need to get the backsplash in there so I can make anything that's white, because it's hard to film until you've done that extra step. So what I think I'm going to need to do is start these out as the just even colors and do the gradient effect after. Come to think of it, is that how I did it before? Nope, I used actual gradients before. Interesting. Well, this is what we call learning. I mentioned this in the last video, but something I'd really like to do is find some way that whatever keyboard commands I hit shows up on this screen. Just so you guys can get a better idea of what exactly I'm doing. Go for a light. I want it to look progressively hotter, so light, that'll work. Yellow, orange, deeper orange. Actually, I'm gonna swap out the orange I had in this one. Yeah, that looks better. Deeper orange. Let's get it. There we go. Whoop, forgot that I needed to. And then red. It needs to be a brighter color. Try that. See if I can get a pink. So it'll capture the essence of a red, but without. It needs to be darker than that. Come on. Stupid web safe colors. I have to do this every time to make sure that it's both web safe and works with CMYK. It's not 100% perfect, but it does actually end up helping out. Let's try that. Nope. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. Multiply. That's exactly what I needed. Perfect. Turn off multiply. Continuous all layers. All right, fill in the white. This is actually around the point where last time my Photoshop crashed, and I did it a second time while I was working on another strip. So here's something I got to be careful about. I'm just going to turn you down to about 40%. There you go. So it doesn't look like the exact same. And oh, and one more eye. Whew. How looking at time? Cool. I think my estimate was about correct. That means another, let's say, 10 minutes, and we should be doing the wrap up. Here's how I'm going to do this. I create a layer mask. Whoop. I did that on the wrong layer anyway. Oh, I forgot a spot. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. There we go. Now, switch to gradient, circle gradient, just to check to see if I did it right. Yeah. Oh, no, I need it reversed. There we go. That's exactly what I wanted. Excellent. I'm actually going to have it around the same place, every single one. Had it moving around on the other strip, but it's, oh, this one, keeping it stationary, will work fine. Yeah, that creates sort of an outdoor look, doesn't it? I don't know why that works. I guess it's just that it somehow feels like more natural lighting somehow. All right. So one thing I keep catching myself doing is I'm looking over at the program I'm using to record this, OBS, and I end up looking at the comic on OBS because it's showing me the screen, and I keep thinking that my mouse is over on this screen, the one that's away from where I've been leaning over and drawing this entire time, because I'm a dumbass and I keep forgetting that I've set it up that way. All right, we are into the home stretch. Ooh, that's one thing I did. That's another thing I forgot to do. Can I might have just screwed this up. Let's find out. Okay, well, at least it works. There we go. Now, new layer, shading time. I have a tendency when I'm making these layers to number them. So it's always shading layer 1, coloring layer 1, and most of the time there's only going to be one of them. But sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes you need to know exactly what you're working with. When I first started doing digital comics, I used to have an obscene number of layers. I think I had pages that had 50 layers. It was crazy. And I didn't organize them because I didn't know what I was doing. Man, I could look back at some of those comics and just be absolutely horrified. It's interesting because I'm so happy I did those comics because they taught me a lot about it. But I've been debating whether I wanted to do that series again as comics at all. I've been playing with the idea of integrating the assets from that, the characters and the universe, into a D&D game. And I'm kind of excited about the prospect. We'll see what ends up happening with that. It's kind of comforting in a way that even if I'm not planning on tackling this particular project in its original form again, Oh, don't know. There was a weird lag there. It didn't show me what was happening until it all happened at once. There we go. But so I've always kind of had this view that a big part of what pushed me to become a storyteller was this perception that my stories and ideas were as real to me as anything else. And I'd created whole universes, just big ideas and big spanning stories and universes. And if I never wrote them, it'd be like those characters had died. It'd be like they'd never existed. So I've always been a little disturbed by the idea of not getting these stories out there. Now, it's been interesting because now that I've got the ability, that perception has changed. I'm a little bit less precious about my work than I was back then. But there is comfort for me knowing that even if I don't make a comic of this, because I kind of feel like certain aspects of the comic feel dated. I was watching a lot of classic anime may be the wrong term. A lot of people consider 80s anime classic anime. But this series was heavily inspired by things like Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, like that generation of anime. Come on. Stop lagging. This is really annoying. There we go. But aspects of it, the more I go back to it and look at it, the more I feel like maybe its time has passed. But I'd still like something to happen with these characters. And I have a D&D campaign that is hopefully going to happen before too much longer. I'm finishing up one campaign, although if things go the way they're going, that campaign may last a very long time because it's a pretty... Things have gotten intense and interesting, and my players seem to really be liking it, so I'm inclined to keep it going. You see how all that just appeared all of a sudden? That's because the system is lagging. And it should not be, because this is a beefy, beefy computer. And it makes me a little mad when this kind of stuff happens. So, but yeah, the idea of bringing those characters in and reviving them in that way is, well, I'd be very happy if I could manage that. Give me a chance to update it, make certain things fit better. And I don't know. It's something I'd be... Plus, it gives me an excuse to play with a subject that I've always been kind of a sucker for. And that's the idea of luck. A long time ago, I remember I came up with a story, which interestingly was inspired by D&D and webcomics like Dominic Deegan and stuff like that, of a traveling bard who just would tell stories wherever he went. And his one big trait was that he was lucky. And that ended up evolving into the idea that was the first comic I really started putting a lot of work into, which was Roulette. The project I'm talking about bringing back. And this is a project that you're not going to find it anywhere. I haven't put it out there because it's raw. It needs to be... if I were to do anything with it, I would definitely get some revamping. Anything beyond what happens in the what'll happen in the D&D game if we ever get started. But yeah, I'd be excited to see some of those characters make their effectively debut in that form, rather than the poor attempt at comics that I made when I first created them. using a much too complicated Photoshop process, and we're back to how I got talking about old projects. Oh, you can tell it's towards the end of this because I am rambling. Go. Also because I'm getting increasingly frustrated by my computer, which is another thing that happens when you've been drawing on a computer for a while. Thank you. A little smaller. Yeah, I don't know why it's being such a butt, but it is being very much a butt. There we go. So calling things a butt like that, I credit to Angela Boyle. Hi, Angela, because she likes to say that things are being a butt a lot. I think I picked it up from her. So something I've been thinking about doing more of because I recently got an opportunity to do it. I was reached out to by one of my classmates from CCS, Anna Selheim, and she was talking to me about CosPain, and I said, I'll send you a care package. I've got these little mini collections that I'll send you a copy. You just, when you get a chance, send me some of yours. And I was like, cool, we'll do that. And what was interesting about it is when I sent it to her, I took the opportunity to write a letter. I have not had many opportunities lately to write letters, but it's something I used to really like doing. There's something I know a lot of cartoonists who very much like lettering, who like handwriting all the letters in their comics, and that process for them is meditative. I don't do that because whenever I've tried that, people complain. So instead, I built a font based on my handwriting, and that works a lot better for me. I built two fonts based on my handwriting, actually. I use both of them at the same time. But yeah, I decided to go ahead and write a letter to go along with it because I enjoy that process. I also really got hooked on the idea after watching a documentary called Dear Mr. Watterson, which is all about Bill Watterson and Calvin and Hobbes. And one of the things it brought up is that the newspaper cartoonists back in the day used to write each other letters all the time, and they'd include little comics and stuff like that. And that was just how they communicated with each other. That'll do. I like that shading can kind of fix some of the spots that are weird. And fix that. There we go. And I don't know, that idea has appealed to me just quite a bit, but I haven't had many opportunities to do it. And so I wrote this letter, and it got me thinking this is something I want to get back into the habit of doing. So I'm thinking I may start writing to some of my other CCS classmates and some of the other cartoonists I know around the area, especially the ones that I don't really get to talk to on the rig, because that's always frustrating. I have some friends that I talk to at least weekly, and very often, like every day, I'll be in contact in one form or another. Like with digital communication, that's very easy to do. I'm texting or I'm gaming and they happen to get on. And it's there we go. Yeah, did the delay thing again. But yeah, I'm thinking it's something I'm going to start doing. And the one concern I have is I don't want to creep anybody out. Because I know a lot of forms of non-digital communication make people uncomfortable these days. and I am aware of this, and that's not my goal with doing the letters, but uh, it's just something nice that I could see being fun to do. Let me do something a little special here. Finish this part. And then I always forget whether or not I have the lasso tool equipped. I'm just going to copy this because he doesn't move. They don't move. There we go. And with that, I do believe coloring is done. How long did that take? Okay, I was off by about 5 to 10 minutes, but that happens. All right, let me save this and I will do the final post-production separately. So thank you very much for joining me. If you are interested in supporting my work further, my Patreon URL is at the bottom of the screen. I also have a website, bwhcomics.com, as well as BWH Comics on everything, basically Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Just look me up, follow me however you want, and until next time, rock on, guys, and never stop drawing.